Hey guys, so today I'm going to talk to you about internet censorship in schools. So to get started, I'm going to talk about how exactly the internet is censored, like what is actually happening on your computer. So if we think about if I went to Google and I typed in something like Jenna Jameson while I was at a public school, what do you think would happen? Well, most of the websites would be blocked. They would just show up as blocked. What's happened here is that the censorship program that's installed either on the computer or the server or both has looked at the results and said, in these results, there's a picture that it is deeming as inappropriate, or there are words that are inappropriate. A lot of these programs have a specific set of words that they think are inappropriate, such as profanities are almost always in there, pretty much any word related to sex. A lot of other words can also be included at the school's discretion. For instance, some schools will include terrorist websites or things that they deem are racist. Other schools may also include certain book titles that they deem are inappropriate. Mark Twain for a long time was deemed inappropriate in many school divisions, and thus now that we have the internet age, for many computers they would not be able to access Mark Twain's works. Now that you have a vague-ish understanding of how internet censorship works, we're going to look at why it's used in schools. So, why do you think it's used in schools? If we say had a technology class and we want our kids to learn about butterflies, and so each kid was at their own computer and the teacher is circulating around, do you think every computer was searching for butterflies? I think it's a little more likely that some of them will be searching for skateboards and movies and Facebook and doing all sorts of other things that they really shouldn't be. Those things are not really what censorship is targeted at preventing. Really, it's prevented for the other things. So say a kid does search skateboards and someone's made some fancy skateboard with a picture of a naked woman on it. It might be blocked by censors. That's what the school is hoping to prevent. They don't want kids seeing naked pictures, they don't want them seeing profanities or whatever else they deem as inappropriate. So that's why they install censors on their servers as well as on individual computers. Now let's think here. Does censorship actually work? Do you guys think that a picture of a naked woman painted onto a skateboard would be blocked by a censorship program? Probably not, because what's happening there is the censorship program is going to look at the title that picture has been labeled as, and will say something like skateboard or skateboard 04 or Joe's skateboard, and it's going to say, okay, it's a picture of a skateboard. There's nothing harmful there, and it's going to allow the picture through. Now, if the person who put that skateboard picture up on the internet labeled it as naked woman skateboard, there's a very good chance that, yeah, it would be blocked. But, I mean, what are the odds of that? Or, what if, there was something else? Say, someone was looking at their favorite daily comic. A daily comic would be uploaded as probably something like Dilbert, January 16, 2009. Now, Dilbert doesn't usually have profanities in it, but what if there was another comic that, for instance, for that day had numerous profanities in it or nude pictures or whatever? Those things would not likely be blocked because it's an image. The image would have a label, and that's what the censorship program would view and say yes, it's safe or no, it's not, but the actual image itself cannot be censored easily. So things like that would get through.
Okay, so here I am doing a search on the internet. So let's pretend that I was just in my science class and I learned about weeds and gardens and stuff, and I want to search weeds. So, weeds. What looks interesting? This definitely looks eye-catching. I wonder what this is. Do you think it's something on weeds and gardening? 'Cause I sure don't. Showcase.ca, probably not the greatest website. What's pot dealer mother Nancy Botwin to do with her cozy suburban enclave burns to the ground, taking her stash with it? Probably not what you want a middle-year student to look at.
Hey guys, so now that we've looked at the ways in which censorship works on your computer and doesn't work, and what exactly censorship is, how about we look at some alternatives to censorship? It's pretty clear that we need something on school computers to stop kids from looking at inappropriate content. But by having a censorship program that doesn't work very well, are we really doing a good job of that? I personally don't think so. So let's look at some alternatives. So why do we send kids to school? We send them there to learn. So shouldn't we teach them? Well, why not teach them about censorship and inappropriate content? Wouldn't it be a far better idea if we taught our kids what is appropriate and what isn't appropriate? Now, I'm sure they know they're not supposed to be looking at nude pictures and so on, but I think it needs to be taught better and more specifically in schools of what they should and shouldn't be doing, so that children understand if I get caught looking at, say, a naked picture, then this will happen. I will get detention on the first try, and I'll be sent to the principal's office on the second time, and so on and so forth. But I think these things need to have a little bit more depth to it. I was actually talking to a teacher who's been in the field for several years, and she told me that about 10 to 15 years ago when she was teaching, there used to be a much better system. What would happen is that on her computer, when she was teaching a technology class, she would have access to a program that showed exactly what each student was looking at. It basically showed tiled screens on her computer, and she could see exactly what was on each monitor in her computer. Now this, I think, is an excellent idea. She can view, just simply sitting at her desk, what each student is doing. If they're working, if they're not working, what they're working on, and if it's inappropriate. Now, yes, she can't be watching this all the time, but I think it's a much better option than censoring the internet content that the students view. First of all, it's better because she can view much more and is much more successful than censorship. And secondly, it allows her to do her job better than just wandering around the class. Yes, she should go around and look and see what each student's doing, but it's impossible to look at, more than 1 or 2 computers at a time. So this allows her a better option. Now, although this is a good option for monitoring, it's still not really teaching the students. Students need to understand what is not appropriate, and most students do, but it needs to be reinforced and it needs to be a school policy. Students cannot just get away with things that are inappropriate. So if it is a school policy and it's well enforced, then I think students will listen. I really do believe that if every time a student is caught doing something inappropriate and they're punished accordingly, then it will decrease and it will stop eventually. Now, there are still some problems with this. For instance, library computers. Kids often go to libraries during lunchtime or whatever to just browse on the internet because they don't want to go outside because it's too cold. Well, it's hard to monitor that. You can't have the librarian just sitting at her desk all day, every day, monitoring what all the kids are doing. Like I said, there are still some problems with it, but I think that teaching the students to monitor their own internet content and to monitor their own actions and understand the consequences of their actions is a far better plan than just restricting them in everything. We can't restrict them in their everyday lives. We can't stop, what happens outside the school. So why should we be doing it in the school? Now, from this video, I hope you guys have gotten a better understanding about censorship. I know you aren't fully versed in it, and no one is, but I hope that you guys realize what censorship is now. You have a pretty good understanding of it, how it should work on a computer, what some of the issues are, and what a good alternative would be. I hope you feel confident enough to have a good discussion with your peers about censorship, and possibly, if it occurs in a school, to be able to discuss it with the faculty members. Thanks, you guys.